right, welcome back to Sheboygan Stories, Unhoused and Unheard. Today's episode, we're going to go back in time for a few minutes here, way back to the very beginning of this podcast, back in episode 2. I sat down with Jimmy on a sidewalk outside of the library. There's no studio, no plan, just real conversation, right where he was at that moment in his life. Since then, a lot has happened. Jimmy's been in his own place now for almost a month, and I wanted to do something that we don't always get to hear, a follow-up. Not a victory lap, not a everything's perfect now story, just an honest check-in. So Jimmy, thank you for sitting down with me again.
Yep.
All right, so it's been a while since we last talked in this capacity. Episode 2 feels like a long time ago.
It does.
Last time we were sitting outside the library. Looking around today, it looks a little different.
Yep.
So when you think back to that day outside of the library, what stands out to you now?
The fact that, I was able just to keep keep at it and keep going at it every day and keep the fighting. And I was able to get myself off of the street after 2.5 years of being stuck on there with nowhere to go. And had a few offers from people throughout, over the last 1.5 years, 2 years. But this was something I just really, really wanted to do on my own. And I felt that, a lot of what I had done, along with addiction and everything, is what helped, put me here. So I didn't want any free handouts, and I knew it was going to be a process, and I wasn't aware of how long of a process, but I'm glad to say I finally got there.
Right, it's been quite the journey between then and now,
yes.
And all of that day after day, getting up and plugging along, knowing that at some point this was going to be the end goal. This is what you were looking to do.
Yeah.
And it happened. So you've been in your place now for almost a month. What has the first month actually been like?
Blissful. It's just, it's almost too good. It seemed almost too good to be true at first. And I was afraid I was going to wake up from a dream, and it's been so wonderful, Scott, it has. Just waking up in my own bed with, just nobody around, an empty apartment, quite an empty apartment. Just could take the day on as it comes, but I just nowhere having to worry about where to go and where I'm going to be that night, and I'm about to be bugged and be told to leave, and
right.
All that,
and like we talked about a little bit ago, you can go walk over to the window, look outside when it was at sub-zero weather, and go, "Yep, I don't have to go out there," and I'm not going out there.
Nope.
That it makes a big difference when you can just sit back and say, "Nah, not today."
Yeah, it does.
So, I guess what surprised you the most about being in your own place?
Just the fact that, if you stick with it, it does work. I thought it was a hopeless, endless journey. I thought it was going to, not end up panning out, to the point where I didn't think I was going to ever be able to have a place to call my own again. So it's worth, the process. It's quite a journey, but if you stick with it, and you just got to put everything into it that you want to, get out of it, and it'll end up happening for you. Right.
Has there anything that's been harder than you expected?
Just living day to day. I mean, just getting up. Getting your priorities in order. Saying, hey, okay, I got to go do laundry today, and it's the small things that you overlook. Just getting tied back into a daily routine.
Oh, absolutely. Right. I suppose it, and not, I guess, not to sound odd, but stuff like doing dishes, cleaning up, cooking supper.
Yeah.
Stuff that you didn't normally think about a whole lot because you didn't have to.
Right.
And that's all part of the routine that takes a little bit to fall back into.
But yep. I do it all with a big old smile on my face.
I can imagine. That makes me happier than you can possibly imagine.
So yes.
It's like we'd mentioned, it's been quite the road, and I'm extremely happy we were able to be a part of that. A lot of people assume that once somebody gets in there into a place, like you getting in here, everything changes overnight. from your perspective, what has changed and maybe what hasn't?
I just I don't know. You just kind of figured that, I mean, you're not going to live in a existence without any problems. But
Right.
um, much change is just it's a little bit harder with addiction. I mean, with keeping people out of here.
Right. And that's the big thing,
Even going out in the world and I run across it and people are offering it and, and I want to tell them the good news, but I don't,
Right, because and not to sound me, but they're going to be beating on your door, going, "Hey, let me come hang out," and before you know it, they're, "Well, let me crash on your floor,"
Yeah.
and that leads to problems. And then next thing you know, you're back out because that's violating your lease,
someone else.
right?
Yeah.
Or they bring in stuff that's probably not best for your well-being that you've been trying to avoid.
It's just, I mean, the simple thing is, there's certain people I can tell and there's certain people I can't.
Right. Oh, absolutely.
That's kind of the way I have to leave it. But
Right. And that's first and foremost, you need to look out for you.
that's for, my sobriety and safety is number one.
Oh, absolutely.
And
It has to be.
It has to be. For too long, it was I put it on the back burner and I worried about everybody else.
Right.
And that's how I ended up being down and out.
Yes, absolutely. And we had talked about that in episode 2, when about how you ended up where you were because of putting everybody else first and not making yourself a priority.
Yeah.
And it's time to change that.
Yeah, absolutely.
It definitely is. So you're kind of in between space right now. You're not on the street, but you're still kind of figuring things out. What does support look like for you right now?
Just making sure I don't dwell in here. I don't lose touch with everybody that I was lucky enough to meet out there. I mean, I would still love to. I'm still looking to go to meetings and, just get myself kind of back out there,
Right.
Like I said, I don't want to become a homebody, but it's not healthy either. And I do want to stay in the recovery community, so
Right.
that's what, moving forward, probably just going to meetings and just keeping myself in the community,
Right. And we try to check in pretty often and make sure, and how, like Jess and Mary, do they check in or stuff like that?
Yeah.
Awesome. Good. We talk a lot on this podcast about systems and support. From where you're sitting, what actually helps? What kind of support actually helps?
Just having people, tell you they're willing to listen, just having a number to call somebody, just being available for somebody who is either in recovery or just needs somebody there for any reason, making yourself available really goes a long way. It really does, help helps people a lot more than what you may think, and just offering an ear or, just a hour or two of your time.
Right. All right, so looking forward, when you think about like the next few months, what are you hoping for?
I want to land myself a job, and start maybe part-time, but I want to start down that road again, and get myself in a healthy...
I think that'd be a good idea.
Yeah, and get, just start off slow, but, baby steps.
Right, oh, absolutely.
But I'm looking forward to that again, just being able to get out and, I'll have at least a part-time job.
All right.
Make you feel...
And when you're ready for that, I'll help you with that.
Yeah, absolutely.
We still have a few connections out there, so we'll see what we can do. What feels possible now that didn't before?
Just everything, it just I really shown myself the last few years that anything I willing to put my mind to that I can accomplish it, and I never thought that highly of myself. I never had a whole lot of belief in myself, and the fact that I was able to just pick myself up out of the ditch and be able to, just to get myself in my own housing with the the help of friends and everything. It just,
Right.
sorry, I lost my train of thought.
That happened. Squirrel moments is what I call them. Yeah, I do that often, unfortunately. It comes with the age. We're getting older.
Yeah.
So if somebody had listened to episode 2 way back when, and they're listening to this one, what would you want them to understand about your journey?
That hard work does pay off. Don't give up. I was so close, so very close.
There was
to
a few times
giving it and giving up, and I thought it would be easier just to end my life, unfortunately, and it got. Thank God I was able to pick myself up, and because looking back now, it was, I just. It seems so insurmountable, but daily hard work. It's anything you can put your mind to anything is possible. And I just want anybody who's down and out, or anybody who's living on the streets, just just reach out before you end up trying to make a decision that you're gonna regret. You would regret.
Right. And understand.
Fighting,
Right, and understand too. There's a lot of this that it's okay to ask for. Hey, I need some help with this. You don't need to do it by yourself.
No.
And
It's almost impossible to do it.
Absolutely. And nobody expects you to do that by yourself. And that's why you need that support system. That's why you need a few people that you can say, hey, dude, I'm struggling here, or like you'd mentioned, I thought about giving up a couple times, but you didn't, and I don't know.
I would have missed out on.
I look around and we're not outside the library, right?
I am so happy. I've had a constant smile on my face.
And so have I. And then, as you're ready, like we talked about too a little bit, as you're ready, and you want to list more furniture, whatever, kind of get you more adjusted to this, you just say the word, or, and we'll make sure that you get that too.
Thank you. Thank you for everything.
Oh, yeah, 100%,
You guys were so wonderful and still are wonderful.
Your family, we said way back when we first started the Pay It Forward stuff, once you're in with it, you're kind of stuck with us. You can't get rid of us,
Yeah.
And I promise that, we're here for the long haul.
Thank you.
And this kind of stuff, this is why the follow-ups matter, especially like the purpose of this podcast, and that people aren't just moments, we're lives in motion. It's always changing. It's always trying to push forward. What seemed like a huge, lofty goal way back then, like it almost didn't seem that it was possible.
No.
It seemed so far off. Well, you'd been on the waiting list for what seemed like forever.
Yeah.
And every time it seemed like you get closer, something had come up, and it's like, holy shit, now you're back further. And
I realize it doesn't matter how many times you get knocked down. It just
Right.
matters how many times you pull yourself back up.
That's it. You gotta
keep grinding. And
Right.
that's
because even when it doesn't seem like it's going to work, it will
It
eventually.
will. Yes.
You got to trust the process.
Yes.
And was there anything else you wanted to add?
No, I think pretty much wrapped it up. I just wanted to thank everybody, and just please, to anybody out there who is ever in any situation, if you ever need to ask for help, just please do. And
Absolutely.
because it does get better.
It does.
I'm living proof of that.
100%. 100%. It definitely does. So if you haven't listened to episode 2 yet, I encourage you to go back and hear where Jimmy was when we first met. Well, I can't say first met. We've known each other before that. But, when we first talked, I don't want to say, I suppose, when we first met, but when we first sat down and talked. And like I mentioned earlier, the scenery's a little different here today than it was then. We're not sitting on the sidewalk in front of the library. there's four walls and furniture and a TV, and we're not outside. So if today's conversation made you pause, reflect, or see things a little differently, I hope you share it. That's the purpose of the podcast. We're trying to educate. We're trying to kind of break some of that stigma and let you know that change is possible. As always, keep your heart open and pay it forward.